Hi everyone, welcome to Say Albans Property Meet July 2024. Can you believe it? It's election day as well, but we still got the entrepreneurs coming and we're going to be chatting to a few of them, as you can see, and get ready for all the value and the fun that we're going to have on the journey today. Get ready for the fun. Hi everyone, got the Ask the Expert for July 2024, Spike. Nice seeing you.
Good
It's
to
been
see
a
you
little
again,
while
Jim.
since I've seen you on the circuit and everything.
Been busy out photographing buildings and countless other things.
And that's the value,
branding,
isn't
yeah.
it?
Oh,
And
yeah.
that's the value you're creating. What is the difference of having a professional taking pictures on buildings make a difference to, say, the valuation or getting the property rented out?
It just makes it look better, lighting it properly, highlighting the best features, and actually working out what people are going is going to give it the wow factor.
So what's the most, like one of the ones that sticks out that you've done recently, locally? What's the property that sticks out that you've done?
Probably one of my favourites recently was a London cinema room
Wow.
that looked like a 1920s Art Deco cinema.
And what was the perspective? Was that, were they going to rent it out or sell it or?
This was one that was sort of up for sale, and photographing the cinema was just sort of, it was on another level to most of the ones I've
What
seen.
was the value of the property that they were selling for roughly? Do you remember?
Probably would have been in the sort of 2 to 3 million-ish.
Wow, and they had a big cinema room.
Yeah, 8-seater.
Amazing. So your pictures, obviously, they use them part of their brochures,
Yeah,
as
they
a
went into
glossary.
like a glossy book on the property.
It's so important these days.
Yeah.
People don't realise
Yeah.
how you present, because people make a judgment just by that, whether they're going to
Yeah.
come up and view it, right?
Yeah. And also, though I'm doing like single views versus 3D tours, sometimes it's those 4 or 5 shots that just make the impact as you sort of look at a web page or pick up a brochure.
So important. And as you're realising, there's so many aspects to be involved in property. Spike's a good person to know. We'll tag you in, Spike, as you
Right.
know. Thank you so much for sharing that insight.
No
And
problem.
enjoy asking expert. People are going to be asking questions, getting tips from him tonight.
Excellent. Thanks.
Hi everyone, we've got a regular here, Ivonne, and her lovely daughter Hannah. Thank
Hi.
you, Ivonne.
Nice to see you.
Special guest. Hannah, you got a question. They got questions for us as well. Hannah, what's the question you got?
So I heard that they were adding 20% VAT to private school fees.
Wow.
What does that mean?
Great question. Because obviously this is general election day as we're recording, Hannah's asked an unbelievably great question. She's asking, are they going to add 20% VAT to private tuition fees? Currently there's an exemption, they don't charge it, but Labour, under the current leadership, has said they will. Will it impact people? My view is it will impact people, because it's not just the wealthy people that go to private school,
Yeah.
right? So I've got family members who also go to private school, nephews and nieces. It will impact them depending on how much they're paying. So if you think about it, if a term is, and I'm just putting a number out there,
6,600.
a term is that? So in a year, that's 18,000.
19,000.
So if you think about it, you're adding another 20% on top of that.
Yeah.
And that could be the difference why someone sends it to private school or not.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot of money.
Additional 5,000 at least. Yeah.
But do you know one of the things, I'm going to give you a bit of a tax advice here. If you are wise and you get a good tax advisor, if you know one, right, is that you can structure your limited company in a smart way that the children could become shareholders in a certain beneficial way, and that money they receive for dividends, because everyone gets a dividend allowance from the day they're born, i.e. a personal allowance, and they can use that money to pay for private school. How well good is that?
That's a
So
very
if
good
mum has a limited company or dad set up, and they get some advice how to structure it using the grandparents,
Yeah,
you have to know how to do it properly, because if you don't do it properly, our good friends HMRC, I know they love watching my videos as well, right? They will be challenge you. HMRC is the government department that looks after collecting the tax. We got to keep them happy, otherwise get in trouble. Have I answered your question?
Yes.
Yeah.
Do I get a thumbs up? Love it. Everyone, you had a good question
So
as well.
yes, I heard about the 25% removal of the tax-free allowance for the pension? How, how will that impact us and our pension pot?
So currently what the rules are that when you get to either 55 or 57, depending on your age, you can withdraw 25%. It is limited to about 270,000, but you can take it out tax-free. I actually did a post on this, I was thinking with Ivonne about it, is that there's certain benefits. People normally take that money out if they want to clear their mortgage off,
Yes.
instead of paying tax on it.
Yes.
If they remove this privilege, I've got to caveat this because the Labour Party apparently have gone back on that last week. We'll see about this. But what it would end up triggering, instead of paying no tax on that quarter, you could pay over £100,000 worth of tax if you took that out in the same year.
Right.
So that's huge. That 260 odd thousand becomes 160.
Yeah.
So it's going to stop incentivizing people to A, contribute into the pension, and B, use it to clear their overheads. Because when you get to retirement age, you want to cut down your overheads and relax. So they were finding a lot of people paying their mortgages off. So they tried to reduce the tax burden to help them.
Yeah,
So
right.
this will be counterproductive, and it also will change the strategy for people for the next 10, 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
This is where they shouldn't tinker with tax strategies thinking short term, they should think longer term. Does that answer
Got it.
that?
Thank you so much.
No
I
problem.
appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you, and thank you again. We're going to have Ivonne tapped into the content when we release it. I hope you like and comment that,
Definitely.
and hope you guys find it so useful.
Yes, thank you so much.
Get a big thumbs up. Hi everyone, we've got Paul, a newbie at the Albans property meet. Paul, nice
lovely
to
to
meet
meet you. Thanks for having me, by the way.
No
it's been great.
problem. No
Yeah.
problem. And I wanted to ask you, because you made the transition, haven't you? From
Yeah.
the corporate world, which we all have done, to the small entrepreneur world. How you found the transition?
It's been really hard, yeah?
Yeah.
But it's been great because when you're in the corporate world, you're really lucky because you're working for a business that has lots of money, very cash rich, lots of experiences, and then you find yourself in this transition to helping smaller businesses. And at first you're like, how can I help these smaller businesses? How do I fit in? And then you're thinking, you know what, I've had so many experiences, different ways of doing things, going from A to B, that you can take your toolkit that you've had from the corporate world and you can bring it into smaller businesses. But the most important thing I found is when you're working for a big company, you're one person in a massive company. So if something's not working, it doesn't really matter as much.
Just because huge amount of value, just break that up for you. So basically you've gone from corporate part being a big machine of one part of a machine. Now you're everything. Aren't you?
Exactly,
You're the MD, you're the HR, finance director, operations, marketing, everything.
100%.
And do you know what? Loads of entrepreneurs will relate to you, to your experiences, because this is the biggest challenge I hear for so many entrepreneurs. Because they think, whoa, I've just gone from having a whole team or working part of a team to working for myself and then having to scale and find what things do I need to outsource first and what do we need to focus on to add the value, right?
100%. And you go from being that small fish in a big pond to suddenly being a big fish in a small pond. So the value you can add is immense if you get it right. So for me, it's really about focusing in on, what type of business are you? What is your value proposition? What is your culture? What makes you successful? Because to go and start up a business, it's a massive thing.
It's huge.
And you need to focus on what is it you've done to make it a success yourself to start it off and leverage that into every aspect of the HR stuff and support I'd give.
So break that value up, huge value, because Paul's going to explain to you, he's worked at a very high level on HR, he's been HR director, haven't you?
Yeah.
So it's when you worked at a high level in corporate world, in London and places like that, now he's getting to SME, it's been really specific because a lot of SMEs, they have limited funds or limited time. So then it's what do they prioritize? And I think you were mentioning that you've helped a small business be very specific on their strategy to change it because you help them with merger and acquisitions.
So really focusing on more of it's not a one size fits all, It's so for example, you're wearing your trainers, you're going out, you're going to a shop to buy some new trainers. Actually, for me, it's like, actually, where are you running? You're running in wet weather, warm weather, indoors, outdoors, uphill. And it's the same with HR. It's about, there's not one size fits all. Curiosity didn't kill the cat, it made the cat stronger. And there are lots of different ways of achieving something. And it's adding that value, but focusing back to what makes a business great in the first place.
Wow. We're going to tag Paul in. He's given a huge amount of value, and he can give a bit of comment on some of the things where he's helping other entrepreneurs. Don't you love the community? Don't you love the value being added? Thank you so much,
Lovely
Paul.
to meet you, sir. Thank you for letting me in your
Perfect.
network.
Hi everyone, as you all know, Albans Property Meet isn't the same unless we speak to Julie, one of the co-hosts there who makes the event. Thank you, Julie, as
Thank you,
always.
Zane.
And Julie, today's general election day, and everyone will know Julie. She's going to have some views on this and the impacts to property entrepreneurs. We're going to have a little discussion about that, aren't we, Julie?
Absolutely. So I'm sure none of you have taken the time to read the manifestos of all of the parties that are coming forward this evening to gain your vote, but I have. I've taken that time. But it's very obvious that Labour are going to come in as our new Parliament. Now, obviously, I'm not in there, I don't know, it could all change at the polling stations, but let's look at what Labour have said they're going to do in their manifesto. The first thing is they promise to abolish Section 21 immediately. Well, so that means by 9 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Just to unpack what Julie's about
They
to say on
can't.
Section 21, what she means by is the no faults eviction.
Yeah.
Yeah, for just some of the people who may not know what she means by that.
So Section 21 is a notice that landlords can give to tenants if they want the property back. So the tenant has done nothing wrong, the landlord just wants their property back, thank you very much. So it's classed as a no-fault eviction, so tenant's done nothing wrong. Now, Labour want to abolish this literally immediately. The word immediately means the second they come into power. Legally, that's not possible. So landlords need to be aware and obviously confident in the judicial system. Now, it's very possible that they could bring in a moratorium that stops Section 21 being used, but that's very, very unlikely. We only see moratoriums coming in a state of disaster, which is what we saw with COVID, for example. So I would really expect Section 21, if it is going to be abolished, and I'm pretty sure it will be, maybe 3, 4, 6 months down the line. So no panic. Please don't panic.
What do you think they're going to put in place? Because obviously the current administration, as we speak, had a different solution, and they was putting prices after consulting stakeholders like landlords and landlord associations and things like this. They were putting something in interim. What do you think Labour are going to put in? Because obviously if you get rid of Section 21 and don't put something in place, it's going to cause chaos.
Absolutely, and it will be chaos, and that's the problem. So the reason why the Renters Reform Bill that the Conservative Party put forward took 5 years to work its way through Parliament, because it needed so many amendments and because it affected so many different other sets of legislation.
Yeah.
Labour are going to find the same problem. Now, it's very possible that they will resurrect the Renters Reform Bill as it went into the House of Lords. They can do that, but it does mean it has to go back to the start of the House of Commons and start to move forward again. So, again, unless they've got cross-party support, it's not going to happen overnight.
I think so. It sounds like something that you need to plan into your strategy as a landlord. Another thing I want to talk about, I've heard about the rent caps that Labour are saying. So I was listening to some prominent speakers out there talking about the rent caps. What's your view on the rent caps? Because a lot of people got very strong views, and there's a lot of evidence to support some of those strong views, but I want to get your view on what you think.
Absolutely. Labour have had some strong views on rent caps, and interestingly, it isn't something that they've put into their manifesto.
Right.
It's something they've actually been talking about outside of that. It's promises they've made that basically they don't have to keep. Rent caps are already in existence in Scotland. Whether they work or not is, due to public opinion. I don't think genuinely they will work in the UK, because the UK has such diverse areas of rental properties. You have your little pocket of central London, which is just a little bubble in its own when it comes to rental amounts. The local housing allowance has to play a lot into how market rents are set. So rent caps, unless the mortgage industry are going to be directly involved in how rent caps work, I can't see it coming into force anytime soon in the UK.
Just to add to that, Julie, Ireland had it, and they've got rid of it just recently because it failed. So if I'm looking at Ireland, which is closest to us, they've ran it for a few years. They realised it caused havoc. They had to get rid of it. Surely we should have learned something by that, no, Julie?
Absolutely, and most of the time England do follow in the footsteps of their surrounding countries, and usually those surrounding footsteps are actually Scotland. we're usually 2 to 3 years behind Scotland when it comes to rental reform. So in 2017, Scotland actually put all of their housing legislation in the shredder and came up with their new legislation, and they have their new standard contracts, and they have rent caps, and that's have been working forward. And usually the UK is a few years behind that, so I can see why the Renters Reform Bill was looking the way it was looking. But when it comes to rent caps, yeah, absolutely, it didn't work in Ireland. I can't genuinely see how it would be policed in England if it did come in. It wouldn't really be viable financially. You'd see so many landlords exit the sector.
Unbelievable value. That's what you get when you come to the St Albans Property Meet, the community, so much value. You get people like Julie, quite experts in their field, quite prominent. That's why you want to make it. Julie, thank you. You're a star as always.
Thank you.
Don't you love this? This is what St Albans Property Meet's all about. Hope you enjoyed the content.